guys, it is I, Halloween Dan, coming at you with another video today about some brand new props. Not from Home Depot, because I think we've cooked that one. I think we're there.
That's enough.
I think we've seen everything. There's not much more to talk about in any great detail. Today, we are instead shifting focus to a completely different store. I actually don't know what this is. I don't know who these people are.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I've heard the name, but don't know enough about them. But they're bringing out some incredible props, and I want to talk about them. So today, we're going to be talking about some brand new props coming to Haunted Hill Farm. Let's do this. So yes, I'm from the UK.
Hello, I'm a British person.
Hello. We don't have the same things you guys have in North America, and Haunted Hill Farm, though I've heard the name, I didn't really know what it was. Is this an online store? Is this a physical store you can go visit? I get the feeling it's an online store, but I don't know, so let me know in the comments. Either way, I've never talked about them on my channel before. I've never really had a need to. But this year is a bit different. About a month ago, we saw some leaked images brought out by Haunted Hill Farm themselves of a few props, 3 props I think it was in total, that were kind of like returning props. These were old school props that have been around for, some of them, a very long time, as early as 2014, and that they have brought out. As far as I'm aware as well, they're all made by Tekky. So they're pretty cool, they're pretty awesome, and I will talk about them in a minute. But rather excitingly, only like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we actually saw a brand new leaked lot of images of brand new things that no one's ever seen before. Some of these are pretty good. So we'll start with the ones we saw the earliest that were released like a month ago, I think. I've just not really had a chance to talk about them. I'm so busy.
7 o'clock, wrestle with myself, loading. I'm booked.
And we'll start with the one that I personally like the least, only because it wouldn't go with anything else in my haunt, and that's the convulsing nurse. Now, even if you've never seen this prop before, you don't have to be a genius to work out exactly what this is going to be. It is a really quite gross, tortured, kind of mutilated looking nurse character that's had like everything. Her face has been cut, her eyes have gone, her nose has gone, her mouth has been cut. Everything about her is really been, she's not had a good time, this nurse, put it that way. Her clothes, her nurse's outfit is covered in blood splatter, and where her arms should be, there are now just stumps with these chains protruding out from them. And the idea is you can either attach the chains to the floor or attach them to the wall, whatever you really like. And the action is that she convulses. Who'd have guessed it? I do actually really like this prop. I think it's very, very cool, and it has a really good action. And it's a kind of like a fan favorite. I get the feeling that there's a lot of people who remember this prop from back in the day and really, really like it, and they're probably gonna buy it. It's just not something for me personally, because as I've said many times, this is when my sort of family-friendly hat comes onto my head, and I have to kind of think for a second. This wouldn't really go with what else I've got in my haunt, and it would freak out all the kids. But cool. Then we've got Gravely Granny, which I think is one of my favorites from this whole lineup because it is creepy. It's creepy and eerie and strange. You've got this granny character that in its own right is creepy looking, so that you sit in a chair. She's kind of leaning over this demonic looking baby that's got red light up eyes. It's the creepiest baby I've ever seen. And she's singing a lullaby to the baby. Now, the whole thing is she literally just sings a lullaby, and then she slowly raises her head up towards the end, and her really kind of gross, creepy old face is revealed. But there's something super creepy in that really basic, quite simplistic action where, because she's singing this lullaby and it's all very strange and creepy, you are half expecting this to be like a jump scare. At any point she's going to jump forward or something. She actually doesn't. It's literally that she just sings her creepy lullaby and then she kind of raises her head up. It's very creepy and eerie and strange and just weird, and I like weird. I am weird. Probably my favourite of the original 3 props we saw released is the coat rack monster. I don't know whether it's just kind of like a coincidence that Beastcraft have released their own version of the coat rack monster this year. Maybe it was one of their favourites and they thought they'd make their own version. I don't know what happened there, whether they've had a little conversation between each other. I have no idea. But either way, here is the Tekky coat rack monster. And I have to say, this is one of the ones I actually remember from back in the day. It's probably one of the ones I enjoyed many years ago. And it's such a cool concept. I think it's really imaginative and it's a real good prop in that you can use this in a multitude of different ways. It's the perfect scare prop because it just looks like a coat rack. It looks like a rack full of coats and scarves and there's a hat on there. And the idea is you would put this in the entranceway of your house or into the first room of a haunted walkthrough or something like that. It just looks like a coat rack. But then when it's triggered, this monster's face, this green sort of gross monster's face pops out from under the hat. And it is really kind of just a jump scare. That's exactly what it is. And it works so well because anyone who didn't know it did that would walk in and just go, oh, here's a coat rack. I'll just hang up my coat. And then it's triggered. That is really cool. It's such a simplistic thing, but that little bit of motion is all it needed. And it really would work almost anywhere. I don't know whether it would work in my horn only because mine's an outdoor display and I feel like this needs to be inside. This needs to be in the entranceway of your home or the beginning part of your horn, whatever it is, if you've got a walkthrough particularly, something where it just looks like the sort of place you'd put a coat rack, right? And that's where it works. Anywhere else, maybe not. So yeah, think about where you're going to use it. But as long as you've got that sort of entranceway or something like that where you can put this and it just looks like another piece of furniture, that's where this absolutely shines. It gets a big thumbs up from Dan. Move into this newer lineup of things that were kind of half leaked, half revealed. I want to say Sunday or Monday, I can't quite remember, but it was earlier on this week. This is relatively fresh. And we've got 5 props, all of them by Tekky once again, which this is like Tekky's revival. This stuff actually is really good. And I'm actually quite impressed by all of these on some level. We'll start off with, once again, my least favourite. And there's no prizes for guessing. It's a clown. But in saying that, this is probably my favourite looking clown revealed so far this year. It is actually quite good. What's happening to me? This is the I Scream clown. I like it just for the pun. It's a weird little clowny, almost like boy character dressed up in this kind of very traditional, so he's got braces and a shirt and some jeans, and he's got these bright red clown shoes. But then the whole thing is he's holding an ice cream cone, and on top of the ice cream cone is an eyeball. I scream. Dad jokes, the best kind. But what I really like about this is the face sculpt and the imagination that's been used in creating it. It's got this spilt ice cream cone on top of the head, and the ice cream is kind of all dripping down this face. That actually looks really cool. It almost has like Two-Face vibes from Batman, where half the face is completely covered in this ice cream and it doesn't look like particularly good ice cream, if you know what I mean. You've got that missing eye where the eye is on top of the ice cream cone instead of in the eye socket, and the ice cream is all dripping down in front of the eye, and then the other eye is just lit with a red LED. I like it. I think it looks really good. I don't think it's going to have a huge amount of movement. It's probably just going to talk some phrases because you can see that the mouth clearly moves. It's got these sort of weird sharpened teeth in the mouth. I don't know, maybe there's something else going on with the mouth as well. It possibly looks like the tongue rolls out or something like that. I'm not sure. And then the costume's just covered in ice cream and gunk and goo, which makes sense for the character. It's this ice cream clown. The only thing I'm not sure about is the hair. I don't know whether it needed the hair, but whatever. It's a very minimal little thing there. The rest of it looked really good, and as long as this says some pretty generic clown phrases about ice cream, it's a winner. It's puntastic. Next we have Groundbreaking Jack, which is a pumpkin-headed weird little creature that is a groundbreaker. Now, I don't actually know what this thing does, apart from it clearly looks like its mouth opens and closes, and it's got that kind of pumpkin stringiness effect that we've seen in several props now for the last few years. Overall, this gets kind of like a C+. Nice effort there, you. Because I like the face sculpt. The face sculpt is actually really impressive. I like this pumpkin look. And the fact that you get that stringiness in the mouth, that's kind of cool. Just simple LED eyes, that's all this thing really needed. And I'm guessing it's going to sort of open its mouth, and it's going to maybe make some strange noises. It might even leap forward a little bit, though there's no mention of that anywhere. It's just the rest of the costume's a little bit lacking. I'm not sure I like the green sort of fabric that's over the arms. I think it needed to be darker or dirtier somehow, because this is a groundbreaker. It looks a bit too clean or something. I like the arms and the hands. I like the sculpt of them, but it still looks rather simplistic and a bit sort of out of proportion. So I'm not quite sure exactly what this guy is supposed to be or what he's actually going to do, but I still quite like him. Then we have the Lurching Possessed Woman, and I think this is another really cool classic prop. You can't go wrong with these phantom-y type, crazy looking women.
Call me crazy. One more time.
And that's definitely what this looks like. Add that it's clearly going to be a scare prop with the name Lurching in the title. It's gonna either lurch forward or leap forward or something. That's cool in its own right. I like that in these kind of things. But add that mouth. We know that the mouth actually does open, so it starts being a relatively normal sized looking mouth, and then the mouth actually hinges open much wider than a normal mouth should do, revealing this big mouth full of sharpened teeth. It does look quite impressive, and I think add that movement of the mouth with a leaping action, this could actually be quite an impressive looking prop when it's in action. One of my personal favourites, though I know it's not everybody's, is the mausoleum. Now, I have for many years, and in fact even this year, have contemplated building some sort of a mausoleum on a relatively small scale and putting a very basic hanging ghost or a slightly moving ghost within the mausoleum. This would take the need to do that away, at least for me. I think this thing is only between 6 and 7 foot. It's not absolutely humongous or anything, but I do like the level of detail within the mausoleum itself. It looks pretty robust. I like the detail on the pillars. I like the skull detail in the top part of the mausoleum, the added work, the brickwork, and then you've got the door. And as far as I am aware, the action is that the door opens and closes. I'm not quite sure what the ghost does, and that I think is the biggest critique. Some have said that the ghost is very basic and it doesn't actually do anything. Maybe it has light up eyes, maybe it kind of judders or something, but it's not like it's actually moving, which is a shame if that's true. I would really have liked to see this thing sort of floating or something, or slightly moving, but to be honest, it isn't necessary as such. The mausoleum itself does look incredibly impressive. And I think if you really, really wanted to have something moving inside there, you could put something in there if you really wanted. I'm sure you could figure out a way of adding some sort of a moving element. Either way though, the mausoleum itself looks incredible. I think it actually looks really good. The opening door is a great added thing. To be honest, just as a standalone piece, as a mausoleum, it looks really cool, even without the opening door. The opening door is just a lovely added touch. So for me, this is great. This would go great in my haunt. I can think exactly where I would put it, and I think it's very cool. I like it. But the final prop, and probably my favorite, and I would say definitely the coolest of this lineup, is what's been named the Soul Harvester. And it doesn't take a genius to guess that this is some sort of a reskin of a much earlier prop that I was a big fan of, the Harvester of Souls. So the Harvester of Souls, the only difference was it was like a Grim Reaper type character who actually picked up the child. It was holding the child, and then smoke would pour out of the child's mouth and be caught by a fan inside the harvester's mouth, and it looked like the soul of the child was being sucked out of the child. This is exactly the same concept, except for instead of a Reaper, we've now got this really creepy looking witch character. Now, just a witch alone, just as a witch, This is one of the creepier witches I've seen for a very long time. You've got this hunched over character. The outfit isn't the greatest, I'm not gonna lie, but that face sculpt with the kind of like blindfolded eyes, or is it that the eyes have been ripped out or it never had eyes? I'm not quite sure. That's a really creepy feature for a witch to have. Then you've got these big, long fingers with like these bloodied tips of the fingers where the nails are kind of almost like pushed their way out. So this is less of a human witch and more of like a cryptid creature of a witch. She's holding this spell book that has lights inside of it, which are lighting up these two characters as they do what they do. And then of course the action of this practically the same to Harvester of Souls, except that this character doesn't pick up the child, but the child is instead, it's got this pained look on its face, and smoke is shooting out the child's mouth and being caught by a fan inside the witch's mouth, making it look like it's sucking out the child's soul. It was a good prop back in the day as Harvester of Souls. It's a good prop now. I love this concept. It's so cool. It's so simple, but so cool. I just love it. I think it's creepy without being absolutely terrifying. I think most people, even in my family-friendly horde, would get this and go, okay, that's pretty awesome. Terrifying, but awesome. I like this. I think this is my favorite thing from them so far. And what else is there to say? And that's it so far. There could be more. I don't know whether there's going to be more revealed by Haunted Hill Farm. Again, I don't know enough about Haunted Hill Farm because I'm not from America, so you'll have to let me know in the comments exactly what they are and exactly what they do. But either way, this is pretty cool. This is pretty exciting. And if some of these things might find their way to the UK, I'd be buying some of those. I'm not going to lie. They're all pretty cool. Even the clown. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.